You're with the Break-a-Leggers! And we're in London's West End on the South Bank, in fact at the National Theatre,
to see the brand new production of Follies.
So stay tuned to find out how many legs,
Whether it's break a leg or leg it.
Before you lovely people go any further,
To make sure you've always got your finger on the theatrical pulse,
for theatre news, reviews and interviews,
hit the subscribe button now.
Follies. What do we know about this piece?
It's a musical by Stephen Sondheim, who wrote the book and lyrics for this one, in collaboration with James Goldman, who wrote the book. Premiered on Broadway in 1971.
Didn't do so well.
No, unfortunately, it never recouped its initial investment and played a very limited run upon its first premiere, but it has gone on to have many successful revivals on Broadway, throughout the United States, and even here in London in the preceding years. Although it's pretty much a different show than what it started off with. It seems to have taken on, every time a production is mounted of Follies, it steals from the production before. It was rewritten so many times, especially the book by James Goldman up until his death in 1998, and now it's pretty much a completely different show than when it first premiered in the 1970s.
Well, let's hope it's a better show than it was, so this we can only get better with this one, right?
Here's
hopefully.
hoping.
Well, who's in the cast?
Fantastic A-list cast with this one. Couldn't ask for more of a dream casting, with the likes of Imelda Staunton.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Yes, Sweeney
Gypsy?
Todd.
Sweeney Todd.
She's got
yes.
a few Sondheims under her belt now, so
She
it
has.
seems only right she would be doing this. Janie D, West End star, Olivier Award nominee, fantastic actress. Tracie Bennett, Olivier Award winner for End of the Rainbow. She's fantastic as well. And Philip Quast.
And I'm tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Philip Quast, the last time he was on this Olivier stage was South Pacific, and he got an Olivier Award for that. So is it pretty much an Olivier Award winning front line?
Yeah, I believe so. I think in terms of West End star clout, this has clout.
This has Olivier clout in the Olivier space.
It does.
Direction?
Direction by Dominic Cooke. Dominic is a former artistic director at the Royal Court. He had a fantastically successful run between about 2009 and 2013. The jewel in his crown during that time was Jerusalem by Jez Butterworth, who has Ferryman running in the West End at the moment.
Okay, choreography?
Choreography by the majestic Bill Deemer.
Yes, he's a bit of a theatre legend as well.
Yes.
Olivier Award winner as well.
Another Olivier Award
Top
winner.
hat.
Yes, and we saw recently La Cage aux Folles, the UK tour, which he did the choreography for. Story itself is about the Weismann Follies, who were a group of showgirls who performed in between the two world wars on Broadway and were a big success in their day, kind of a vaudeville revue type act, but wildly successful. The theatre that they made their name in is now facing demolition, so they come together for one last night to, let's say, toast the place and also just kind of relive their glory days and share memories of their time as the big Broadway sensations of the day.
Now this piece is one act, but it is an epic act, 2 hours and 15 minutes straight through.
Which is the way it was originally written by Sondheim. Subsequent revivals have had a interval shoehorned into them, which is believed to destroy the narrative, so I'm pleased it's not there if that's the case.
We've just haven't drunk for a couple of hours to make sure we don't need to go to the toilet halfway through the act.
Definitely force a wee out before we go into this one.
So I guess we'll let you know what we think when we see you at the end.
So we've come to the end of Follies here at the Olivier space at the National Theatre, London. How did you find that?
I really enjoyed it. I was a bit surprised having seen Putting It Together. I remember when we saw Putting It Together, there was
with Janie D.
With
who's
Janie
in the cast
D.
for this.
Also, there was a certain point where after each number, I felt as if the audience wanted to get up, and there were standing ovations after almost each song. I didn't quite feel that with this, but it does pack a punch. There's a lot of very good numbers, a lot of numbers that I recognised. It was delivered in a very strong way,
genuine
The
way.
The cast is very talented. You couldn't really ask for a better cast. So I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if I would, but I did.
I don't think there's any doubting that this cast is very capable. The cast is totally committed and clearly understands the journey of their character and what the character is trying to present at any moment that they're on stage. I felt very, very confident with that. Problem for me was what they are trying to present at any one moment in time during this piece is a little bit confused, is a little bit non-linear, and the story, the base story about what's trying to be told there, doesn't seem to understand itself. It's partly a piece about letting go of the past and acknowledging you had success as a youngster and have you managed to carry that success as an adult. And then it's partly a story about unrequited love, and then it's partly a story about regret, and then it's partly, and for me, those bits of story and narrative flitted around a little bit too much, like an annoying bee in the room. So you think you've got it sussed and it's up there, and then you're just about to swat it, but now it's over here, and it's like. So in terms of a narrative running through and actually coming from a start, midpoint, and end and resolution, I really, really wanted to like it, and I really struggled with the narrative.
I do agree. There were lots of little segments of stories, but I liked that. I liked that one. Although we had the kind of central four characters that it was mainly about, there were lots of other characters that kind of kept popping up, almost for little cameo numbers in a way. But because we had a bit of backstory, we knew where they were from, it added real depth. It was almost as if they weren't just singing for singing's sake. And also because there are, I don't know spoilers or anything, but because they were married in a way with their younger counterparts, that added a real interesting dynamic that I felt, I'm not sure if that's there in the original, but if it is, then it's great. If it's not, then that shows real creative flair from the director and added a real extra dimension to the whole piece.
You've got quite physically the ghosts of the past watching over these actors telling their story now, yes, and switching over and crossing. At many points in the show, it borders on abstract surrealism. It goes totally,
crazy
almost Monty Python-esque, really surreal. Yet that's not a theme that's come throughout. So when that does happen, it is slightly jarring. You have to take it back a little bit. In terms of performances, going back to that, Janie D is sexy as hell.
She was dancing,
so sexy.
Legs. She's really good in this. However, I don't know what you thought. Vocally, she sounded a bit tired or a bit ill. I don't know what you thought.
Maybe. I have heard her sing better.
Yeah.
She put me in the mind throughout of Nicole Kidman in Moulin Rouge. You know, that kind of glamorous redhead, not a great vocalist, but knows how to act the shit out of a scene. That's how it made me feel.
She's a fantastic actress. Having seen her before in Putting It Together, I think it was at the St James's, the other palace.
Yes, and I saw her in Hand to God, which is a straight acting role, no singing involved, and she does have a fantastic talent.
And she's got a fantastic voice, and there was just one, there was almost like the top end wasn't almost there. And I thought, I wonder if she's
maybe a
tired.
bad night.
However, she is fantastic.
She is. Also, Tracie Bennett, and who gets the torch song number I'm Still Here, which was made totally her own by Elaine Stritch, yet it could have been written for her.
Yeah, almost brought the house down.
Yeah.
I'd say something about the big numbers that the main characters had. When they finished and they held their last note and everyone was applauding, they held the audience and they stood and they took the applause.
Until they had gone well out of the wings.
Yeah, and the applause went on and on and on and on and on. They know how to hold their applause in this show.
Again, coming back to performance, Imelda Staunton's version of Losing My Mind, I was enraptured. I felt every single word of that. You were a little bit more withheld with your praise for that.
Yeah, I think it's because I've seen it done so many times and covered so many times by strong singers that now I just see it vocally. I know she can act out of it. It was nice seeing Imelda do something a lot more subtle, having come from,
from
Gypsy, which is...
And even Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, where she's a strong, brash woman.
Whereas in this, she's very vulnerable
Yes.
and very needy. So it was nice to see a very different change, completely different vocal style as well.
I'd
terms
go
of the
so
other
far to
voices.
say is that she's probably one of the greatest stage actresses that we have at the moment. I could see her doing literally anything. I
Very
can't
flexible.
imagine. I could see her playing Orphan Annie. She's that good.
Yes. What do you think of Quast, Philip Quast?
I didn't know which one he was.
Oh, he was the one that played Ben.
Those two men, there are two men that the show focuses on, and to be honest, I was a bit
yes.
confused between who was who sometimes.
One was Billy and one was Ben, I think.
Yeah, and
one was Billy, one was Ben.
I was a little bit, I didn't know who was with who at times and who was playing what, and so I'm not sure which one Philip Quast was.
Either way, Billy and Ben I thought were great.
Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men.
Billy was fantastic. So much energy, delivered real gusto, great voice as well. I loved him. Ben is Philip Quast. He's just solid. You just know you're in safe hands. Really.
Experience though. I mean, Philip Quast. Surely
Yeah.
he's been in everything ever, right?
Yeah, he had the song, was it Too Many Mornings, blah, 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 blah. Again, it's amazing how many songs I actually recognised from the show that I didn't know were in it.
And that's an interesting point. Now, there are some really, really strong songs in this piece, yet almost all of them work totally independently of any narrative. They don't do a lot to drive the plot. They don't push the story forward. And I think that's why there's so many Sondheim review shows. There's Putting It Together. There's Side by Side by Sondheim. There's Sondheim on Sondheim. There's a plethora
So there's
of them.
a number of reviews.
And the reason is he writes a great song, but does he write does a great song, a great show make? I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. The songs were good and they did touch you. They're written in such a way, and once you have the context of the characters and why they're singing the song, there were some of the songs that I thought, wow, that is a really moving song that really does depict where that character is at this moment in time. I couldn't have crafted those notes in any other better way.
But likewise, you've said that
Orchestrated
even
it
when
in
you've
another way.
seen these numbers performed in review shows, they've had standing ovations at the end of them without plot.
Well, this is something we're saying that Sondheim needs. He needs fantastic vocalists combined with fantastic actors.
And that's,
If you're lacking
yes,
in that,
I
it'll
perceive
show.
that to be because actually the story's not there. He has to bury the script beneath a fantastic vocalist and beneath a fantastic actor, because the books that Sondheim gets drawn to are not great stories in of themselves. Would I be interested in this as a play? No.
Whereas I think completely the opposite. I think because it is there and it is so layered and it is so deep, someone without the craft wouldn't be able to dig into and delve into that. It would just seem flat. If it was just an average actor, average singer, it would seem very meh. You wouldn't be able to get into it, you wouldn't care. But those that are able to pull out the hidden gems from inside Sondheim's head and his writing, his chords, his orchestrations, the lot. That's what I think.
Beautifully played. The band were fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh, the
brilliant.
sound is lovely in the Olivier space. I think it's because they had the band set behind the stage,
Yep.
so they've got complete control over the levels, and they are very experienced in how to work that level out for that space, because it is a cavernous space and it could very easily be lost in there. But I thought the sound was rich and beautiful.
Yeah, they're performing to a 160-degree audience, kind of going all the way around. And
It's
they had-
amphitheatre-esque.
amphitheatre-esque, yeah, and brilliant use of a revolve. There's points where I thought, oh, actually, is this going a bit too much? They're just spinning for spinning's sake, but actually it was intertwined very well with the action to help it move along.
I loved the set. Talking about the set, thought the set was great. Really well devised, really well created. They do everything on site here at the National, and they are probably the best in town.
Yeah, choreography I thought worked really well with the style of kind of the Follies, the Ziegfeld-esque Weismann Follies that you'd imagine of the time, very stylized. Worked great.
Yeah, Bill Deemer's choreography, I've got to say, felt masterful because he had pitched the choreography against a wide range of ability levels, dealing with much older actresses who, you know, I'm sure can still kick higher than I can kick, but you're still dealing with a lady in her 70s perhaps. Yet it seemed to be pitched perfectly, his choreography did, and was an absolute joy to watch. Full use of the space, even when the focus wasn't on the dancers, they were there, they were still going. And I loved that because it filled the space, it made it feel rich and vibrant and alive. Well done, Bill.
Yeah, it was very well interspersed between the older characters and the younger characters, almost moving seamlessly between both ages.
Also, a massive shout out to Paul Constable for the lighting, beautifully atmospheric, great use of strobing to an almost farcical effect, yet was totally fitting of that scene because that was somewhat surreal. Also, just kind of the smoky haziness of it and strong follow spotting. I just felt the lighting was really well devised for a show set in a theatre, and I felt like it was theatre lighting for a theatre show.
Well, I guess you're probably wondering how many legs we're going to give Follies at the National Theatre Olivier Theatre Space.
National Theatre Olivier Theatre
Space.
We are going to give
Three legs.
Yeah, we've struggled to really compromise on this. Now I
Come
think
to an agreement.
Yeah, for just kind of clarity and consistency's sake, there are shows where we've given a 4-2 that I felt were told a better story than this told. And for me, I couldn't get up to the 4 because there are better 4s out there. For you, you'd been quite happy to take it to a 4.
I'm happy to take it at 4. I think it's beautifully layered, beautifully adult. Sondheim and his book writers understand the human psyche and adult themes. This isn't all glitz and glamour, you know, this is real, gritty and raw. And I cared about the characters, and it's not just glitzy, it's, you know, there's something meaningful to it. It shows that, you know, life isn't all happy and jazz hands, that it's not what we want it to be. Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we don't like other people, the people we live with, sometimes we don't like ourselves, and, you know, these are the themes that Sondheim understands and explores and plays with, and for me that's quite exciting.
Yeah, he does play with them. For me, it's almost like a child painting a picture. You admire the child for giving it a go, but sometimes that picture doesn't resemble what it is that child has set out to actually paint. And I think that in terms of the narrative here and the focus on what we're supposed to feel for some of the characters gets a bit lost in his flitting around between things which seem utterly surplus to requirements at times. Therefore, I couldn't get up to a 4.
Well, that's what Simon thinks. But what do you think? If you get a chance to see it, let us know. Although this run is pretty much sold out.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting close too. There are some dates still available way down the line in the run for this. It has been extended right through past the end of the year, so there's a big, long stretch. But London's a long way away for some people. And we know we've got viewers over the globe now. We get lovely messages from everywhere. So if you can't get to London to see this, don't fear.
No, because there will be a National Theatre live broadcast of this production.
So on the 16th of November, all around the globe, you can head to your local cinema and get a ticket to see the live broadcast of this production of Follies. So if you do get a chance to see it, and by all means, please, please, please drop us a message. We're the Breaker-Leggers. Follow us on Twitter.
Like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you again soon.
Bye.